Today marks day 667 since the Russia-Ukraine conflict began on the 24th of February last year. Moscow continues to drop missiles on its neighbor Kyiv, and calls for a ceasefire have so far proved unsuccessful. Ukrainian Air Force spokesperson Yuri Inot has revealed that Russia has launched over 7,000 missiles and 3,700 Shahed attack drones since the war began. For an update on the ground, we're joined by Olexiy Haran, a professor of comparative politics at the University of Kyiv-Mohyla Academy. Professor, good evening. Thanks so much for speaking to us. It's day 667, so this war has been going on for quite some time. Give us a summary of some of the key factors over the last year and a bit.
Well, first of all, I need to say that Russia didn't reach its objectives. The objective was to overthrow the government in Kyiv, and it was clearly stated by Mr. Putin at the beginning of the war, and actually he repeated it right now, so he failed. And I think it's very easy for South Africans to understand that you cannot defeat the nation which is fighting for freedom. We are fighting for freedom. Regarding the situation at the front line, again, during the recent years, the Russians didn't manage to move forward anywhere. Ukrainian counteroffensive wasn't as successful as it was previously, but nevertheless we had some successes in the Black Sea, so we managed to move, actually, to push Russian Black Sea naval fleet out of Crimea, so because they are within the reach of Ukrainian missiles, so they had actually to withdraw from Crimea, the navy. Also, Ukrainians were able to seize some territory on the left bank of Dnieper, which is also a platform for further operations. But nevertheless, the situation is, I would say, it's not static, but the front line is not moving quickly. So in this situation, we are facing the winter, and because Putin is fighting not with military, he's fighting with Ukrainian civilians. So the main aim during the winter for Mr. Putin would be to destroy Ukrainian energy infrastructure and actually to leave Ukrainian citizens without heating and without electricity. He failed last winter. This winter he will continue to do the same. We have now much better air defense systems. Not enough, but it's much better. So Putin attacked Kyiv, the capital, where I am right now, 3 nights in a row. Ukrainian air defense forces were quite effective. So during the last night, all Russian drones and missiles were destroyed except for one, so one residential building was hit. But it means, to sum it up, it means that we are ready to continue our fight. I will give you the results of the poll that we finished on December 15th. Actually, it's not published in Ukraine so far. We will publish it next week. So you will be the first to hear that 88% of Ukrainians continue to believe in victory of Ukraine. Only 5% of Ukrainians are hesitating about that. So Ukrainians remain to be committed to defend their country. That's extremely important. But we need support. That's clear. We need support. We need air defense systems to defend our country. We need additional artillery shells to liberate our territories. We need financial support, and we also need humanitarian support, because you know that 20,000 Ukrainian children, they were deported to Russia. We were thankful to those countries who are working for liberation of Ukrainian children. These countries include Qatar, South Africa, but definitely we need to have more pressure on Putin. Oh, by the way, I would like to mention that National Security advisor to South African president, Mr. Sydney Mufamadi. Okay, I'm not sure. Correct. Yeah. So he stated that nothing can justify territorial annexation of the independent country, and he referred to Russian attempts to annex part of Ukraine.
Professor, I'd like to come in with a couple of questions, if you'll allow me. And one of those speaks to just the amount of money that has gone into Ukraine during this war. We understand that the last €1.5 billion has been received, and the entire package has been €18 billion. And this is a vast number. Do you expect the West and the rest of those that have been supporting Ukraine financially to still do so come 2024 and beyond?
We hope for that, and if we are talking about EU support, it seems to be quite optimistic despite the position of Hungary. We know that EU decided to start negotiations on Ukraine joining the EU, and this decision was made despite the position of Hungary. And it's interesting that Hungary appeared to be just one country which was against this decision. So during the debate, during the voting, Prime Minister of Hungary, he decided to drink a cup of coffee. So basically he left the room in order not to block the decision of the EU, and I think this was very wise step. So all other EU countries voted for the start of negotiations with Ukraine. So it's very, very important for us. Regarding, definitely it's a lot of money, and we understand all the problems connected to that. But look, the problem for the world, Putin is a Hitler of today. Let's put it very, very blunt. It's not a territorial dispute. It's about the very existence of Ukrainian nation, which is almost 40 million people. And Putin is saying that Ukrainians do not exist separately from Russia, that we Ukrainians, we are just part of great Russian people. So it's very much the talk of Hitler, of other dictators who, were saying that neighboring countries, they do not exist. So it's a huge problem for international community. What are you going to do? Will you allow such dictators as Mr. Putin to conduct unprovoked war to destroy the neighboring country or not? Would you react to that or not?
Mark, sorry, Prof, we are running short of time, and I want to move on to my final question, which is a two-part question. One is the resilience of the Ukrainian people. I mean, you've talked about that vote, and only 5% feel you won't win the war. The balance expect you to win the war and to keep fighting. But let's talk about just what is it going to take to bring Ukraine to where it was before the conflict. And now I'm talking about infrastructure damage. I'm talking about the men and women and the children of Ukraine that have suffered great harm during this period.
Well, definitely it's huge catastrophe. It was huge humanitarian catastrophe because every third Ukrainian had to leave the home. Just imagine, every third, 1 to 3 leaves the home. So, and in sum, it's about 13-14 million of Ukrainians. So, when we imagine situations that our territories are liberated and the war is over, we don't know exactly when it will happen. But a lot of Ukrainians will come back and we will restore the country, and there were a lot of promises from international community to participate in the rebuilding of the country. In the same way as Europe was rebuilt after World War II, there were many, basically the support was coming economic from the US. Now we are talking about support also from European countries, from Gulf states, from Japan, from other countries. And look, definitely, we won't be able to do that without international community, but international companies also will have a lot of projects connected with the rebuilding of Ukraine. So, frankly speaking, I am quite optimistic about rebuilding Ukraine. The main thing is to stop Putin's aggression and to liberate the occupied territories. This is not easy. But we understand this is not easy.
I can imagine so. Professor, we'll leave it there for now. Appreciate your time this evening. Professor Olexiy Haran, Professor of Comparative Politics, University of Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, speaking to us.